everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rethink, Reconfigure, Restart. As the world continues to grapple with COVID 19 and the disruptions it is causing, some sectors seem to have bounced back better than the others. One such sector, which was faced with tremendous challenges, is the logistics sector. But some organizations within that sector have really shown the path in that space. To discuss more what and how has the logistics sector played a role in bringing back the economy on its rails. I know it's not fully there, but as we go towards that, I have an absolute pleasure, Shashi Kiran Shetty, Chairman of Allcargo Logistics, ECU Worldwide, and Gati. Shashi, as an industry leader, you have really had a fantastic journey. What principles have enabled you to rethink, reconfigure, and restart?
We were very concerned about the uncertainty and where it will all get ended up with. We run a global business. We are extremely spread out. We have a extremely diversified business portfolio. Our cost of operation is very significant. And lastly, we just about acquired Gati. We also have one of our main business, the container freight station business, where we thought that if the volumes drop, we would have a serious situation. We formed a crisis management team within our various organizations. We obviously looked at the entire cost of running the operation. We looked at every bit and piece of how and where we can save money. We started getting to talk to our customers more closely, how and what we should be doing during this crisis. Started talking to all our employees, in terms of how do we organize ourselves to operate from home. These are some of the things that we figured out, that no university or no book can help you with this. This is, I think, living your life, whether it is personal or business, it's about common sense. And if you put a lens of common sense and look at crisis, look at situation, you always find a solution.
I could not agree with you more that common sense approach is the best way, frankly, to deal with many of the crises. One thing which has really bothered me personally is about the cost of the Indian logistics sector, which is around 13 to 14% of GDP. What can the government do to help reduce this logistics cost for us as a country? And also what the private sector should be doing. We very often talk about government doing, but I do believe private sector also has an equal obligation to do things on their behalf. Friends, I also have Manish Sharma with me. And Manish, I would love to hear your comments also on this.
I don't know whether it is fashionable to say it or there is really a well-researched paper which justifies that there is a 13 to 14% cost. Now, post-GST, the logistic cost must have come down even further because there is a 20-30% improvement in productivity of the movement of goods. So that not only brings the cost down, it also brings the inventory holding cost down because 30% faster the goods reaches. The private sector came and radically changed the whole container freight station business and the port business, in spite of the constraints that have not been removed as yet. Private sector have also invested a lot in handling equipments, have taken berths on concession, and there is a phenomenal productivity improvement that has happened. Allcargo has built now already, as we speak, 5 million square feet of A-grade warehouse within 2 years. We are now one of the leading A-grade warehouse developers in the country. I see after acquiring Gati in the 6 months, we have already turned this company around, and the productivity utilization of the truck capacity has gone up to 86% from 68% in spite of the pandemic. Right? So obviously that leads to profitability, productivity, motivation. If a company chooses to work with the right partner, and if they chooses to pay the right price for the services and do a predictable contract with your service provider, then the logistic cost comes down on its own.
I do agree that the 13-14% GDP cost is fairly touted around number. Logistics service providers need to become advisors as well as service providers to help them bring transformational change in their logistics function. Logistics service providers also need to look at building scale and having a strategic intent. Invest for a long term, not just in assets, but also in competence, know-how, technology, so that you are well positioned for the future. I think logistics service providers should think in terms of having smart alliances and focus on end customers. From a government perspective, I think it is important that government starts looking at enforcing standards, whether it is with respect to trucking industry, road performance, warehousing, and so on and so forth. Government also need to look at focusing on inviting anchor industries into logistically competitive locations. A lot of government support has to go in building critical supply chains. On the back of the farm reforms which have now been announced, I think the cold chain industry, the food industry is an important focus area for government to spend time on. Now, my question to you is, how can India's logistics ecosystem enable it to become a preferred global alternative?
I think this needs radical change. The risky decisions need to be taken. Unpopular decision will have to be made. We have to facilitate building large infrastructure for manufacturing closer to the ports. India must, at any cost, revive the special economic zones and FTWZs by forgetting what happened in the past, come up with a very transparent new rules, bring in something like a Vivad Se Vishwas kind of a scheme. India has no choice but to trust their employers, the industries. And that does not mean that you forget about everybody else. You have to protect employees, you have to protect labor, you have to protect farmers, you have to protect the landowners, you have to protect the environment, and you have to do everything that is necessary. But you cannot push your boundary. We need to have a very coordinated effort to attract investment as one India, then one state or one district.
Thank you, Shashi, for that. I absolutely agree with you. The Indian industry has shown time and again that we are capable of standing up to and withstanding competition and actually doing really well, as well, even better. How have you seen digital interventions playing a part in the logistics sector? And what would be your advice to quote unquote like conventional logistics companies when they are coming up with what I would call like logitech companies?
Post pandemic, the choice becoming lesser. If you don't become efficient, if you don't become an enabler for the future way of doing business, I think it is time for people to start thinking of doing something else. At the most 10 years, I feel the whole logistic industry will become flat. Reinvent yourself, look at how you can automate, how you either develop or partner with tech-enabled platforms or sell out. I urge all my colleagues in the industry to think seriously, to take the startup enterprises very seriously and work with them. As far as Allcargo is concerned, we are trying to do something very similar.
Thank you, Shashi, for that. I'm absolutely with you that if any organization, irrespective of the sector, doesn't become a platform company, doesn't become digitally enabled, I do agree with you that they may and will wither away as time goes by. Friends, viewers, I hope you found this session informational, interesting. I absolutely enjoyed conversing with Shashi on the logistics sector, and with leaders like him, I think so we are in safe hands. Till next time, when we bring you another episode of Rethink, Reconfigure, Restart, keep watching and stay safe and stay healthy.